Welcome back. This morning we've been talking about the different ways we can find fulfillment. One way is by being trusting enough to receive the gifts others have to offer. When Laura Tenike took a job with Argosy Bookstore in New York City, she expected to be the one to give of herself. What she didn't expect was an employer whose wisdom and nurturing would have an impact on her far beyond the daily 9 to 5.
I just graduated from NYU with a master's in fine arts, and believe it or not, I couldn't find a job. And a friend of mine suggested the Argosy Bookstore.
You don't get this for the title,
No.
just for the looks.
So what I didn't realize was they wanted me to run the gallery with Miss Shervin, and Miss Shervin was, of course, their mom.
Getting fixed in the folders and the...
You know, I'd never met someone in their 90s, and I couldn't believe it was her. She looked like she was in her 70s. She's very soft-spoken, drew me right in close to her. She checked out my outfit, checked out my accent, my style, and I started the next day.
Or if the tape was coming off, she'd replace it. She wouldn't,
She sort of went her own way. I mean, of course, she was married and she had 3 girls, but she walked to work every day by herself, and she came in 6 days a week. I hate to replace it with one of the new ones.
It is a shame.
Argosy has become my family. I mean, most of the people that work here have been here for 20 years.
Well,
it's very much family oriented. They know where you're going on vacation, what you're doing.
I think we should.
Everyone knows what's
With the
up,
gold?
and it's very unique.
Oh, that is terrific.
Miss Shervin and I worked together for about 2 years, and it was as though she was my granny.
One of her passions was gardening and plants. She loved being in the garden. She had a trick that was, I think it's time to share it.
Oh, I know just what you're thinking.
Yeah.
The gourds.
Beginning of the summer when she planted her garden, one of the things she planted was gourds. When the gourds started to grow, they were really tiny. She would take a pin or a nail and she would scratch the name of the child who was going to visit someday.
Someday
Now,
during the summer.
During the summer. So now the gourd grew and grew and grew. And as it grew, the name grew. Then the child would come to visit maybe in August or whatever, and she said, let's go to the garden and see what we can find. And then the child, they would look and say, spread the leaves of the gourds and say, oh, here's one that says Zach. Here's one that says Sarah. It was, kids today who are very grown up cannot forget that. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. What do we have here? Hall.
I think even though they knew she was fading, they weren't prepared for her death, and they decided to just leave the apartment intact. They didn't do anything for months and months.
Okay, so this will go.
On the last day, after the apartment had sold, after everything had been cleaned out, there's just this one plant left in the apartment. And Adina brought it over to the gallery and said, this was Miss Shervin's, would you like it? And I felt more emotional when I saw that plant. It's just something, it was just a few leaves coming out of a glass jar, and just thinking that that plant lived in the apartment by itself for almost a year. It just, I don't know, I just suddenly, that time I mourned Miss Shervin.
My mom really loved Laura and appreciated all her qualities.
The ladies, I feel Miss Shervin in the gallery. I feel her spirit here. It's not as though she's walking around, it's just a sense that she's here watching over me. It's hard to explain it, but I definitely feel her presence, and it's everywhere. Every placement, everything that's been put up here, she did. So I'm lucky to have her spirit here.
What's most profound about this story is that its ending is really a new beginning. Laura continues to be touched by her boss's presence, which permeates every corner of the store. Argosy Bookstore was founded in 1925 and is now in its 3rd generation of family ownership. Their collection of out-of-print materials is so extensive that it takes a 6-floor building and a large warehouse to contain it all.